This is meant to ease the travel of tourists into South Africa. If you heard on Friday, the president made reference to this, saying that, the tourism industry has suffered, significantly under the current regulations, which required people traveling to South Africa with minors to carry these documentations. He said this morning that this will no longer be the case. They will not be required to carry the documentation, but they may be requested to prove parental consent in terms of traveling with minors. However, for South Africans who are traveling outside the country with minors, the rules still stand.
And so a new passport for minors is also being introduced.
Yes, he said that's on the cards, and when that happens, we will no longer be required to carry that documentation, because the passport at the back has the particulars of both parents of the child, so it won't be necessary for the documentation to be carried by people traveling with minors outside South Africa. This obviously is meant to curb child trafficking. He went into detail about this, how the challenges they've been facing dealing with children who are being trafficked, but also said that a huge part of this is the domestic trafficking of children, which unfortunately immigration officers or Home Affairs has no control over, because they don't go through borders, of the country.
But Dimakatso, with all these relaxations, therefore, there does seem to be a need for balancing the security requirements as well. I heard the minister decrying the state of the border posts, particularly with South Africa's neighboring countries, Mozambique, Swaziland, Zimbabwe. What exactly is the issue with those border posts?
He sounded really hopeless, Xoli, if you heard him. He was saying that with regards to the Immigration Act, businesses in South Africa in different sectors, be it agriculture, even tourism, are expected to employ at least 60% of South Africans, but this is not happening. People are flouting the law and employing illegal immigrants who are working in the country illegally, of course. It doesn't look like there's much control in terms of entry into South Africa with regards to our borders. He didn't say much in terms of what they are doing to change the situation. We know for a fact that the situation at our borders really has been hopeless for many years, with allegations of bribery taking there. There hasn't been any sense of the government taking control or being able to control the movement of people there. He said that the attempt is not to close the borders, but it doesn't look like there is a solution to the problem for the moment.
And that links us nicely, therefore, that explanation you've just given of the flouting of the country's laws in as far as the employment of South Africans into various sectors. And him mentioning tourism, interestingly, he also says he's had a number of meetings with the tourism minister, Derek Hanekon.
Well, Xoli, the laws that they put in place back in 2014 backfired, really. We saw the minister today, he had to eat humble pie, because, these backfired dramatically in terms of the impact on the economy. We understand that since 2013, the tourism industry has lost, estimations of about 7.5 billion rand in terms of, tourists who would have come to the country and created jobs. As you know, Xoli, that the tourism sector is one of the biggest employers in South Africa. They employ more people than the mining sector, than the agricultural sector. It's actually, its contribution to GDP is much bigger than the agricultural sector. So the impact has been felt dramatically in terms of those regulations. Hence, you've seen now this about turn. He's tried to justify the decisions that they've taken, but really it looks like they were not thought through in terms of the implication on the economy. We've seen, Derek Hanekon, the tourism minister, also lamenting the impact of these, requirements on the tourism sector.